So changes need to come to the NHL's refereeing system. I gotta tell you, I don't know if I've seen a worse year. I know every year we complain about the refs, and I'll tell you, there's been a couple of plays in the last couple of weeks anyway that just I don't understand, and that's about player safety right there. I don't know if anybody saw the. I don't know if it was last night or the night before. It was the Nashville Predators. I don't remember who they were playing. Ellis. I think it was Ellis. No, that was the elbow. Well, there you go. Ellis with the elbow to the guy's head. He jumped up. It was clear. He threw the elbow, and nothing happened on the play. I don't remember the other Predators player. He was cross-checking somebody right in front of a ref. Cross-checking him. And no call. And then a couple of weeks ago, there was, I don't even remember the teams, but there was one guy, he cross-checked somebody right into the net, or right in front of the net, anyway, and then continued to hit him, and the guy was injured. He ended up, was out for a couple of weeks. The ref was right there and didn't do anything, and I don't get it. And then last night, in the Habs game, there were two calls. That bad penalty call that led to a goal, and then how do they call back that goal? How do they call back that goal for goalie interference? What the hell is goalie interference? Because that wasn't goalie interference. And I'm sick and tired of Toronto. They called to Toronto, and Toronto reversing the call on an obvious not goalie interference in a tied game that could have made the difference. In the end, it didn't because Montreal fought back. Thank God. Anyways, it pisses me off how the refs... I don't think it's any different. Honestly, I don't think it's any different than when I was growing up. We complained about the refs all the time. It always seemed like the refs take it out on Montreal, but I'm seeing more and more, all the other teams too, the refs just not caring. That's what it seems like. I don't know. With these new guys, I don't know what's going on. You don't care that one player hurts another player on purpose? You can see it on a replay. If I can see it, I'm blind, by the way, no. But if I can see it, how do they not see it? The Jesperi Kotkaniemi, the slew foot. How is that not a slew foot? Like, what is going on with the refs? Changes need to come with the refereeing system and the disciplinary. There's something wrong. Guy hurts another guy, goes for a game. If he goes out at all, a game, 2 games, there's no way. That slew foot should have had the guy out for 5 games. I don't understand. Thank God Kotkaniemi's not hurt. He's skating. Should see him on this road trip from what I get. If he's on the road trip and he's practicing, I would think he's going to be, in the next few games, he's going to be back. So I don't understand. What's with the refs and why is nothing being done? When I was growing up, I don't know. Yes, there were times when I didn't like the reffing. I honestly didn't, but that's bad calls. And that's bad enough. And that's probably always going to happen because refs are blind. That's what they say. But what about this stuff with these guys getting cross-checked into the ice? Like, not just once. Boom, boom, boom. And that's a cross-check. When you're holding your 2 hands on the stick and you're jabbing at a guy like that, that's a cross-check. And if you do it 5, 6 times in a row and the ref is standing right there and he does nothing, that happened in the Nashville game and it happened in that game that I'm talking about. That I don't remember the 2 teams. But the guy who was being cross-checked in that game from a couple weeks ago was out. He was on the, I don't know if it was more than day-to-day or I think he went on the IR. So that's a minimum of 10 games or 10 days. And nothing done on the play, nothing. And I don't get it. So I'm really just pissed off at the way the referees seem to be wanting to be the star of the game. Is that what it is? Do they need to hire refs that have no ego? They don't care? Or is something going on? Anyways, that's my question there. What's going on with the goddamn refs? Are they all blind? And why is it happening to Montreal? How many times? Look, go all the way back to that Philadelphia game where they gave 6 penalties to Montreal and 0 penalties to Philadelphia. And there were clearly penalties that happened. Clear as nose on my face. See, I have a nose, right? And nothing being done. There's so many other instances. If I did more preparation for this podcast, I would have written down the instances where Montreal was clearly being biased to, I don't know what the word is to use for that, but biased against. They had a bias against Montreal. It seems clear. Maybe it's because I'm a Habs fan and I see things differently. I don't know. But to me, it seems like Montreal is one of those teams. It's not just Montreal. There seems to be teams that the referees don't like. Why that is, I don't know. Is it because Toronto doesn't like them? Because that call for the goal, that the goal interference, that came from Toronto. They had to go to Toronto. Says no, that's goalie interference. How? How is that goalie interference? What's his name? Fantenberg, was it? Fantenberg has Lehkonen with the stick against his back, and he's pushing him. Not like hard, but he's pushing him into the goalie. Lehkonen's doing everything he can. He's got his stick up so he doesn't hit the goalie with it. He's doing everything he can to back off, and they call that goalie interference. Why, they didn't want Montreal to have the 2 points so that they can keep pace with Toronto? Because that's what happened. Toronto had won. Maybe not at that point, but it's like they wanted Montreal to lose so that Toronto can go ahead 2 points. So it begs the question, the NHL, is Rogers controlling what the hell happens in the Canadian games? With the referees and the calls made? The Toronto headquarters, or whatever they call that, has to make the call? I got to tell you, as a Montreal Canadiens fan, one of Toronto's biggest rivals, Montreal, it sure as hell seems like it. It's like they're directed. You're reffing against Montreal, blow a couple of calls, whatever you got to do. Yeah, I'm saying it. I can get paid by the NHL. I can't get fined by the NHL. And God damn it, the way the freaking algorithm works now on YouTube, nobody's going to see it anyway, so who cares? I can say what I want. There's something wrong with the refereeing in the NHL right now that's not the usual something wrong. There's some kind of bias. I don't understand it. And no, it's not just against Montreal. I'm not crying like that. It's against Montreal. It's against other teams. It's against the players themselves. Guys getting hurt. How do you get cross-checked 6-7 times in a row and be injured on the play and there's not even a call on the play? So there's not a call. There's not a review. There's not a review to say, okay, there wasn't a call, but this was wrong. The guy suspended for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 games, whatever it is. I'm kind of the mind at this point to say that guys that hurt other guys like that, they're not allowed back to play till that guy's back playing himself. You want to go and do something like that, and you put a guy out for 2 weeks, you put him out for a month, you put him out for a year. You don't play till that guy comes back to play. I think that's fair. What right do these guys have? How can I say it? What right do these fucking players have to take it into their own hands to hurt another player? I don't understand. They're in a freaking union together. If it happens to the guy who's hurting the other guy, he's going to be out. Doesn't he know that? Doesn't he know that what he's doing is wrong? And why is there not a crackdown on these guys that do that? You got a guy like Tom Wilson, turned his game around, it seems. I haven't heard any problems with him this year. I don't know. I don't watch much Washington, so I don't know, but I haven't heard him suspended or all that. He seems to have turned his game around for whatever reason. But why weren't they cracking down on that guy the last 3-4 years when he hurt somebody deliberately? Never mind 5-game suspension, 2-game suspension. Take him out for 40 games. He's a repeat offender multiple times. So the disciplinary group or section or whatever the fucking hell you want to call them, they're garbage. They're garbage. And what's his name? It's he played here, George Parros, the guy that played here for 2 games, had a concussion and never came back. He's apparently making decisions there. I don't get it. Is it because he was an enforcer and he hurt guys, so now he doesn't punish the guys that do the same thing? He should know better. As the guy who used to do that, he should know better. You know, there's a reason why they get criminals to sort of rehab by catching other criminals. It's the same kind of thing. You were an enforcer. You know what kind of shit you did. protect the other players from that kind of fucking shit. And crack down on make the referees do their goddamn job. Damn, how long have I been talking about that? Not bad. A 10-minute rant. I gotta drink some water. A 10-minute rant on referees. So you see, I don't make any cuts because I'm drinking water on this podcast. Yeah, listen. It gets to the point where Montreal needs as many points as they can. They're in a desperate situation right now. For that to happen last night, it's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. Everybody in the goddamn arena, and they were in Vancouver, I think everybody in the arena agreed with them, although there were a lot of Habs fans there. When they showed it up on the screen, that it was obviously not goaltender interference. What the hell? Toronto has the best freaking view of it with all the screens and all the cameras. They get to see everything, and they can't make that call. And I don't care what their excuse is or what they explain, and this is the reason why we did this. Yeah, this is the reason. You want to know what the reason is? I can tell you right now. Because Rogers owns the goddamn NHL with that freaking contract, and they get to say what happens with Toronto. And Toronto wants a winning team, and they got a garbage team. They overpaid for too many players, and the rest of the team sucks. And I don't care what their record is. I don't care. But with all that, they're still fighting for a goddamn place just like Montreal. There's no difference. So they got 3 of those big stars. So big shit on that. So all you Leafs fans, I love all you Leafs fans. Don't worry, as long as you're civil. I love you guys. But that team of yours is no better than ours. I like my team a hell of a lot better. We only got one player at $10 million, and he's playing goddamn well. Okay, so why am I angry? I don't know. I'm angry at Leafs fans. It's not your fault. I'm angry at Toronto head office for making that goddamn call. That started this. I don't know if I would have talked about this if it wasn't for that goddamn call to call back the goal. I didn't see the tripping call on Tatar in the first period. From what I understand, it's a really bad call. It was just a really bad call. There was no tripping. Ref totally blew it. Goal scored against Montreal. I didn't see the call. I'm not going to talk about it too much. But that goal was a goal. Okay, let's go on to something else. Montreal Canadiens. Let's talk about Montreal Canadiens since this is a Habs channel. And it's a Habs podcast. But that needed to be talked about. So, Montreal Canadiens, and maybe I'm a little bit late because I don't see much talk about this now with Caden Primo, but I wanted to kind of go a little bit more, I think I talked about it in a video, or maybe it was a live stream, about what Caden Primo, what they're doing with Caden Primo, and why I think it actually is going to work out. For everybody who thinks Caden Primo was sent back and he's not coming back, that's not the case. What they're going to be doing with Caden Primo, and when you think about it, I think it's kind of brilliant. And I think it's going to work, honestly. Instead of going to look for another backup, they're already paying Keith Kincaid right now to stay in the AHL. And quite frankly, like if you listen to what Bergevin says, they want the prospects, they want the guys that Montreal doesn't want to give up. And in the new NHL, you've got to build through your draft. More than ever, you have to build through your draft and develop your own players and your own superstars, or you're going to get in trouble more often than not down the road because you overpaid, you gave away too much, blah, blah, blah. Montreal doesn't want to do that. They're building. They're trying to have patience. Anybody who thinks Marc Bergevin's job is on the line, I don't think so. Most teams, yeah. If he misses the playoffs this year, most teams, he's gone. I don't think that's the case here. I don't think so because he's doing the right things. He's getting the job done for the long game. He's playing the long game. Anybody plays golf, the long game and the short game, he's playing that long game, and he's playing it quite well because in 2 to 3 years, this team is going to be different than what we're looking at now. And if you like what you see now, in 2-3 years, we're going to have some good players in every position. Top 6, bottom 6, they're all going to be good players. Watch and see. So it's a little bit of patience on their part, and it's going to have to require some patience on our part as fans. So now what they're doing I got sidetracked. What they're doing with Caden Primo and Carey Price is since they don't want to really go out and find another backup goalie that might be iffy and everything, and they have this guy in the minors, the kid. He's quite good. And how do you develop him properly? You can't bring him up and keep him here because he won't play enough games. He needs to play. You hear 50 games thrown out, but say he got 40 games, I think he'd be fine. But he needs to play 40-plus games in his first year as a pro. He needs to. That's part of his development, so that's why he can't come up here and stay up here as a backup, because what's the most he's going to get? He didn't start the season, so those 4 or 5 games that Kincaid started, those are gone. So he might get 20. He might get 20. But that's not enough. It's going to set him back. You could say, well, it's good if it sets him back a little bit, then he won't catch up so quickly on Price, and then we won't have to have that decision between him and Price. But that's not good, because if it backs him up a little bit, that could make a huge difference on his ceiling. You want him to develop properly, and he needs to play games. That's all there is to it. There's no other way to put it. So they've come up with a great plan, and that plan is to bring Primo up. Since Montreal and Laval, it's a 20-minute drive to get to Laval from, depending on where you are in Montreal. But I mean, it's cross a bridge, you're in Laval. It's easy for the call up and send down. So their plan is this, in less words, hopefully, then it seems where I'm going, is that they're going to call up Primo when there's games that they need him in, even if it's on the road, because there might be a couple of back-to-backs that are on the road. But even if it's on the road, they're going to call him up when they need him, and when he's not going to play, when Price is definitely going to play the next 2, 3, 4 games because of it's every second day, he's rested, there's no problem, then he's going to... Primo's going to go back down to Laval, and Lindgren's going to come up and sit on the bench and not play. Lindgren will play if Price gets hurt in a game or comes down sick with something. In an emergency, if they're on the road, Lindgren might play. But if it's at home, Primo's going to come up and play those games. So in between playing as the backup for Carey Price, developing in the NHL, and playing starter games in Laval at the same time, he's going to get his 40 to 50 games. He's going to develop properly. He's also maybe develop a little faster because he's going to actually get NHL games. So by the end of, and you never know, maybe by the start of next season, he could be the guy that they're going to count on to be Price's backup. Is he going to replace Price right now? No. He's not going to. But is he going to replace Price eventually? Yes, he is. Is he going to replace Price before Price's contract is up? More than likely he is. Because he's a guy that's probably going to be fully ready in 3 years. A guy that's fully ready to be a starter and be the number one guy in 3 years. So if you want to say 3 years after this season, I mean, that's fair enough. He's going to be ready. And then what do? You can't keep him as a backup when he's ready. You can have him as a backup till he's ready. When he's ready to be the starter, he has to be the starter. So it just sets up the fact that Carey Price probably isn't going to finish his career here in Montreal. That's the reality. That's the business of the NHL. So for Carey Price to win a Stanley Cup here, he's probably going to need to be done in the next few years. I think the window is 4 years. That's including this season. And I said it in previous videos that I think that's where the window is. Not knowing that Caden Primo would be as good as he so far is, and knockwood, it's only a couple of starts, could make a huge difference when he's gotten 5-10 starts. Everything could fall apart. You don't know. But we didn't know before how good he was going to be exactly. We had an idea. But he's proving that he might be a really good, maybe great goaltender in the NHL. So that kind of changes the outlook of how things are. And yes, Carey Price will probably have to be moved. Pick up a few pieces, maybe draft picks, whatever you're going to get. Usually for goaltenders, you get surprised. You don't get as much as you expect. But it's going to be probably necessary, because is Price going to want to be the backup here? No. Can you expect Price to be the backup here? No. So when Caden Price, that's not bad, Caden Price, because they're very similar. When Caden Primo is ready to be the starter in Montreal, he's going to be the starter in Montreal. And that's I don't see it any differently. He'll be 23, 24, something like that at the time. And it'll be perfect timing. And I think things are rosy for goalies. So I really like the fact that instead of kind of bringing them up here, letting them kind of sit on the bench here, slowly develop, they came up with a really good idea of going up and down. And it's kind of only available because it's so easy to, Laval is right here, you know, when they were in the St. John's or whatever they were, it was farther, not easy to send a guy up and down like that. Here, the beauty of having it in Laval is just, it's awesome because it gives them so much more opportunity. You know, we also, just in saving money, you can very easily send a guy down for a day or two, he's off the books. Boom, and you're building up the cap space. And that's what they've been doing. That's why their numbers have been going up a little bit, because they've been building up their cap space for when they need it. You know, and maybe an opportunity will come around, or someone gets hurt. You've got to bring other guys up. You got to pay them. You know, this is what happens. So it's really good. I like what they're doing with Primo. So I wrote down here also. I got stuck on just about what the situation is. A lot of people want to trade Primo because he's going to be ready before Price is finished, and of course, it's kind of blasphemy what I just said about we're going to have to move Carey Price eventually. I know it's blasphemy. I get it. But listen, it's a business. This is what happens. I'm sure Price is quite aware of what could happen, right? Should Primo be traded to get other pieces and stuff like that? And I, of course, know, because this guy's going to be one of those goaltenders. If you move him, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. And it's going to be, we'll talk about it for years that, wow, we could have kept this guy. Not happening. The other point, I think I just said it a few minutes ago, is you might be surprised at how much or how little you get back for a goalie. You just saw Taylor Hall move for all those pieces, but you won't do that. It won't happen with a goalie. Won't. A goalie would get you maybe, if you're lucky, maybe half of what they got for Taylor Hall, because that's the way it is. Goalies are just too, even though if they're great, well, whatever. Price might get you more than the average goalie, obviously, but you're not going to get what you expect to get. So, the good thing about that for us, if we can move him, we don't have to take a lot back, but it gives cap relief, but because he's making $10 million. The other team doesn't mind so much if you get a team that has cap space, because yes, they get the cap hit, but that's not how much they'll be paying him. Carey Price's contract, I do believe, was front-loaded, and near the end of the contract, his actual salary that the team is paying him is really low. But the cap hit is an average of all the years of the contract, and that's why the cap hit is high. So, like Shea Weber, when Shea Weber in the next couple of years, although Shea Weber, we thought maybe he's going to be traded soon because he's slowing down. I don't see Shea Weber slowing down. I was wrong. When I said that, I was definitely wrong. If I did, I can't remember 100% honestly, but I might have said that. And anybody who has, it's wrong. Shea Weber is turning into, I'm going to sidetrack again, I guess. That's what a podcast is about. Turning into this year more of an offensive defenseman. I heard that today, and I thought about it, and I said, you know, that's probably why that pairing that he is with now with Ben Sherratt works better. Shea Weber is playing more on the offensive side. He's making the pinches going in the other zone. Sherratt is staying back and covering more. And that's working, because that's what you need. You need one that does and one stays back. And kind of before, Sherratt and Weber played that more stay-at-home defenseman type. So now it seems like in a good marriage, and they're not gay or anything, but in a good marriage, you figure out what the other one compensates for, and that's what's working. It seems to be working. So I don't expect that pairing to change even when Mete comes back. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Don't know how I got sidetracked onto Weber and this stuff. Sorry, we were talking about goaltenders. But I think I got everything, because I wanted to talk about them maybe possibly moving Price too, and it's in there, and we talked about it. Okay. I guess next up I want to talk about something my video of the preview video was about for the last game, which was against, depending when you're watching this, right? The last game, and the one I'm talking about here, is the Vancouver game, the first game of the road trip. I kind of, after losing to Detroit, 2-1, and just the offense not really clicking in the last few games. I was expecting fully a change in the lineup. I was really was expecting Domi to be on the wing, Suzuki on the at center on that line with Armia on the other side. Paling as the third line center, but I kind of get why that won't work, and I wasn't thinking about it, and I didn't agree until today, and I'll explain. This is why I think I was mad at on the live stream and all that they didn't do that, but I did say that I would say I'm wrong if they had a good game and they didn't lose 2-1, and that's what happened. So I'm saying here now on the podcast as well that I was wrong about Julian not making changes because it worked out really well, and I kind of understand something, and this is what I understand, and I haven't said it in any other videos yet because it's recent. So I've got with Paling back up because I forget why Paling was called back up now, and it's just leaving me. Anyway, so now Paling I thought would be the center. Paling is turning out probably isn't the center here in the NHL, which not a bad thing because he's a big guy. He wins battles in the corner and on the boards, and it turns out he may fully naturally be more of a winger, a power forward winger in the NHL, and that's perfectly fine because in college he was definitely a center. Definitely played that type of game. In the NHL, it seems he's playing more of a winger's game. He's not carrying the puck a lot. He's winning battles in the corner. He's going into the corners, along the boards, and he's using his body, and he's becoming a power forward. And I think this is a good thing. So in my lineup video where I had him as a center, yeah, I might have to adjust that. Well, that's what predictions are. You get them wrong sometimes. So what I think is going to happen when KK comes back, KK is definitely going to be a third-line center. I think, what are they going to do with Suzuki? Are they going to put Suzuki literally back on fourth-line wing? Second-line wing? I don't think so. I think this is a time where you make that move. Suzuki goes to the second line. Domi moves over. It opens up a lot of offense just by all the adjustments and the way the lineup has to be tweaked. It allows for a little bit more offense all around because when KK comes back, I think automatically you're going to put Paling on his wing with, I guess, Cousins. Cousins has been playing really good, so I guess it's going to be Cousins, KK, Paling, and you're going to get a little offense from that, and you're going to get, I think my battery might be down, so while I'm talking, I'm getting a phone call. Anyway, so let me just plug in just in case because I want to finish what I'm talking about. Real professional. I should edit this, but I don't edit. So, okay. It gives more offense because you've got KK's coming back. He's going to play center. You got Paling on his wing, Cousins on the other wing. Now you've got the second line of Domi, Suzuki, and Armia. I like how Domi's progressing. Suzuki's progressing. I like Domi's game last night. It was really good. Yes, he was the center, but I think it's time that we have to move to the future. I don't know if Julian's going to do this. I really don't, but I really think that's what we got to do. We got to make the three lines more likely. What's the word I'm looking for? Right now, basically, it's two scoring lines, and the bottom lines, don't know if they're going to score or not. We need to make three scoring lines. Got to have 1, 2, 3. Got to. I think it opens it up better, so I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to see. I also wanted to talk about Suzuki as who do you guys think is going to be the number one center in the future? We were all thinking it's going to be KK, but as it turns out, unless something big happens, he's having an injured season, not a great season. I get that. Unless something happens with him in the next couple of years that makes him that look or seem a little better than Suzuki, I don't know. I think Suzuki is the center of the future. He's the one with the most upside or ceiling talent, offensive talent. KK's talent's a little different. I still love the kid. Think he's going to be great, but I think he's going to be the second line center. I think you're going to have Suzuki, KK. Deneau's going to have, if he stays with the team, Deneau's going to have to move down to third line, and that'll be a scoring line. And believe me, the wingers will have to adjust there. It won't necessarily be Tatar and Galley with him all the time, right? But I think that's what's going to be the future. I think Suzuki is the number one center of the future. And I wrote here Suzuki, KK, and someone else third line, but that depends on what Danault's going to be looking for. His contract will be due by the time Suzuki would be number one center, and we may have just Suzuki, KK, and two other centers at that point, and probably come from internally from prospects. But it's hard to look that far ahead with people you don't know that are going to be there or not. You can't even, you don't know who they are, can't even come up with a name. So I guess I got a little rambly on that. Just wanted to talk about Suzuki, and I ended up talking about Poehling. I think that's what happened. But really, Ryan Poehling, it seems, is going to be a winger and a power forward, and I don't mind that at all because Montreal doesn't really. Well, I think Armia and Poehling are going to end up as our power forwards. I really do. Armia is turning into a really great power forward, two-way player because he's good on the defensive side just as much. Love the way he gets his stick in there. Intercepts passes and turns them into offense. He's great on the transition. He breaks something up and he transitions really, really well. I really like Armia's game, and that's why I called him out as a breakthrough player. Of the players that I called out to have a breakthrough season, Armia's the one. I think he's the only one of the other ones because KK is a little off. I think Jordan Wheel, but he's not. There's I can't remember who else. Victor Mete, he got hurt. He was doing better, but I wouldn't call it breakout. But Yoel Armia, definitely that's a breakout season for him. He's going to have career highs 23 points. He's going to, if isn't he already there or past it? He's definitely going to pass his career high in points by big time. So yeah, he's the breakout player. So I ended up wanted to talk mostly about Suzuki, and I ended up talking about Poehling and Armia and all kinds of stuff. But that's fine. It's a podcast. I can do what I want. I sound like President Trump. I do what I want. Okay, we don't want to talk about Trump. That is for sure. So I think that's it. I'm not sure what the time I'm in. Yeah, I think that's it. It's the half hour in. Okay, listen, so thanks for listening to me ramble on this podcast. I don't even think when I started it out I introduced anything, so people watching it don't even know. It's called The Penalty Box. Woohoo! I finally said it. So this is Wednesday, December 17th. I was talking about the refs, the goalies, and the lineup. And then I talked about other things. Okay, so thanks for watching. I really appreciated anybody who's still here. Maybe this is why I'm not getting questions. I'm waiting till the end of a half an hour video to ask for questions. But if anybody is still here and you want to ask me a question, leave a comment in the comment section and I'll answer them. I didn't get any, that's why there's no comments. So, no questions to answer. So, that's how it is, right? Can't help that. Anyway, so I appreciate you guys watching. If anyone's still with me, check out these couple of videos over here. I'm going to put a couple of things up. Hopefully you'll watch that and it'll be interesting to you. And you can subscribe and ring the notifications bell, which is down there if the content that I do put out interests you and you'd like to see more. If you do that, you'll get your daily fix of Blue Blanc Rouge from Rick, that's me, at Talking Habs. Okay, so that's the end of the podcast. Like I said, thanks everybody for watching. I'll be back next week with a new topic. Who knows? With a topic, take off, I don't know what the topic will be, but it'll be a beauty, that topic, a beauty of a topic, Okay, so thanks for watching. I'm going to cut it off now because I'm rambling too much. Now you can't even see my eyes because it's just my mouth, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm tired. Thanks for watching. Bye, y'all.